Hey everybody, my name's Sean.
I'm Bob. He's Bye.
They're Butch.
And together we are the Butch and the Bye.
This is the Butch and the Bye, the podcast.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing we've remained consistent on, I believe this is number 9, correct?
I don't have
I should have checked that before we started. That doesn't feel right at all. Why does that not feel correct? Yeah, okay, this is only the 7th. Damn. Okay, well, if anything, we've been consistent about that. This is our 7th year of doing our top 10 things around, hey, the holiday season. The Christmas day is nearing, and we are recording this, so this can go out that day. Yeah, but we've gathered our list. 2025 was checked it twice. Yeah, I've looked over it several times now. It turns out I'm naughty. This is John naughty 10 times.
Santa Claus is coming to town, and it's just Nala jumping up behind you wearing a little hat.
God, I'm feeling Nala's more a Krampus vibe.
Yeah, that is.
She'd put me in a bag, drag me, slam the bag around with me in it.
Give me food more.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 2025. Oof, boy, weird year for both of us individually. Just really bad year for a lot of things, and it'd be insane to be ignoring that in any capacity. But we've put together a list of 10 things that have sparked joy for us over the last year because, hey, we've gotta. You literally gotta. You can't, otherwise we're just doing this, the whole breathing and circulating blood thing for no reason. So might as well have at least 10 things that spark joy. But if you have things that spark joy for you, hey, let us know. There's on some of the platforms, you can actually submit questions to us is thing number 1. But you can also, hey, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on all of the things. So Bob, would you like to get us started with your, these don't have to be in any specific order, but whatever number 10 is.
Yeah, number 10, we're gonna say, is just turning 30.
Oh, wow, you included that as a top 10 for you.
Yeah, it's
that's right, you were excited,
Yes, I love not being in my 20s anymore. It does feel like I've hit at least a milestone of something or other, and yeah, it also means that next year is my golden birthday, which I don't know that I'd be able to celebrate in any meaningful way, but I still want to believe that it's special.
For those playing the home game, what is a golden birthday? Because I thought your golden birthday was
when you turn the number that is the day. So I was born on the 31st, so turning 31 is my golden birthday.
Gotcha.
You had yours when you were 6.
Damn, I didn't celebrate hard enough when I was 6.
Yeah.
I think I got food poisoning. That's probably what happened. I don't know. There was something.
Gold and it made you sick.
Yeah, got it. I've been afraid of aging since I was a child. It's been a problem.
I was not afraid of it. I just didn't expect it to happen. There's sort of a trope in a lot of children's media of the sickly child who's too good to live. It's they're God needed that
Tiny
one
Tim.
back.
You're describing Tiny Tim.
I'm describing more of Beth from Little Women. There's some children's book about Christmas that I remember, but I don't know. It was the last Christmas this child experienced, but they were just so very sickly and angelic. And I don't know that I was ever truly good enough to think that would happen to me, but my mother hyped me up a lot, and so I kind of thought that maybe I was just too good to live.
Wait, hold on, because the way I've interpreted what you just said, because I just said Tiny Tim and you said kind of, is you don't think you're good enough to be Tiny Tim, you didn't get sick as a kid, so you're not good? Wait,
No, I don't think that I was actually well-behaved enough. It was always a child who could do no wrong, who never sinned, essentially. It's a complete innocent who then died young, and for some reason I sort of figured that would happen to me. Just, weird thing. Yeah, so as I just kept getting older and older, I realized that. I was oh, that's how I didn't have much of a plan for the future. I've never been great at planning for the future. I wasn't raised with the expectation of college or the expectation that I was going to get married and have kids. Neither of the normal paths for adulthood was something that it was put on me. And so I was just sort of I guess I'm just going to keep getting older and doing whatever. So
Yeah, it is. It is
exciting to reach 30.
It is the weird thing of not wanting kids is that whole like what a lot of people consider like the milestones. It's like those aren't relevant here. Like it'd be weird to try to like compare to that pathway, but it's also impossible to not because of society and media. Speaking of media, I've got my number 10.
Yeah.
It's about found family, Bob.
Oh boy.
It's about found family and trauma and icing a really traumatized character right at the beginning of the movie. Spoilers alert for Marvel's Thunderbolts, aka New Avengers. This was way better than it had any right being. Which is okay. So I need to highlight the reason it's on this list is less so it's like, oh, it's a really good movie. It is a really good movie. It is such a good movie, but there's another movie that was so much better this year that required me to change my Letterboxd review to like remove half a star from Thunderbolts because to say they're the same would be insane. But Thunderbolts was such a good movie. It hit in such a specific way. Again, as we mentioned, this year has been a rough year, and that movie deals with a lot of some of the stuff that I've been personally dealing with, especially tied to aging. I went the other direction of turning 30. But yeah, I really love this movie. But the big thing for me was I always, as a Marvel fan, always wanted them to do some sort of Masters of Evil, Thunderbolts, villain team in the movie. Like it just, they kept introducing all these villains and then killing them off. And it's like, you guys have like other stories with these characters you could be doing instead of just okay. So yeah, it was really good. I really loved it. The music was really good, especially Bucky's theme was so good in that. Yelena's story across the entire film, her relationship with David Harbour's character, the dynamic between John Walker and like the rest of the cast was really good. And Elaine from Seinfeld is there being an absolute menace. But yeah, and that was also like earlier this year too. So it was weird to sit down and make this list and remember I was like, oh, that's right, 365 days have passed. I need to look at the whole, not just the last like 4 months.
Yes.
What is your number 9?
My number 9 is getting back into StarKid, the production company that was made famous by a Harry Potter musical, since gotten very into doing original works. Yeah, I finally watched Nerdy Prudes Must Die and their Cinderella adaptation and rewatched some old ones. And yeah, it was just really fun to get back into the music and also like rewatching some old ones and being like, God, this is still so emblazoned on my brain.
Yeah.
I watched that stuff a lot. It was a big part of my adolescence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hadn't watched, I think I had seen bits and pieces of both Harry Potter and Holy Musical Batman, but it wasn't until we had watched the guy who didn't like musicals or the man who didn't love some variation.
The guy didn't like musical.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd watched one of their productions all the way through. And I know this year they put it on stage again. Did they do a recording of it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's been released yet. Okay. I have been not as much paying attention to that, but yeah.
Cool. Yeah. It's a good choice.
Yeah.
Was there one that you watched specifically this year that like put it on the list?
I mean, I don't know. I really enjoy all of them. I do like their Cinderella story is a lot of cool effects, a lot of great things about StarKid, both like strong ensemble, deep emotional resonance, and also great puppets.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a history of making really cool puppets, and they have really cool troll puppets in this one. And also the music is just really well written and catchy. It was one of the few times where like the first song that shows up in a musical, like it shows up at the beginning and the end, that like having watched it once, it was like in my head, which is very rare for me, that I'm like, oh yeah, I remembered a song from this immediately upon watching it, rather having to watch it multiple times. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm double checking something right now because I put something as my number 9, but I need to see if a whole of thing was done. Why don't you show me the actual date? Why must we do things very coyly? No, is that okay? This is the very end of last year, but the one I'm talking about is.
Okay.
Yeah. So for my number 9, again, weird year, but as part of the stream that I've been doing, for 2.5 years, we played some games this October. I finally played through and beat Resident Evil 3, the original. This was one of the kind of missing spots on my list of completed Resident Evil things outside of the recent games. It was one of those ones that it was too hard when I tried to play it in the past, and I was like, I'm going to move on to other things. I did. But it was really nice to actually go back to it. And not only was it getting back to it, but it was getting back to it because Good Old Games, or GOG, had at the very end of last year announced they were doing PC stable releases of Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, the PC editions, which was also fun because we played through the first 2 of those on stream as well. And it was just really interesting to see the differences between like the console versions that I'd played and the PC versions. But Resident Evil 3 came out a little later than the second one and then the first one. But yeah, it was very kind of like checking off a long-term, what felt like a to-do. It's not to do, it's nice to do kind of thing. But yeah, that was my number 9 for the year.
I guess I'll add my game thing, which is gaming with friends, specifically playing Peak and Repo.
Yeah, that is on my list too.
Cool. Yeah, no. So went really hard on Repo for a while with our friends Bunny and Dalek, which was a lot of fun. Even though it ended, and we were all heartbroken at our run that we had cultivated so carefully and that didn't play for a while.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's right. We did. And it wasn't that we lost it completely, right? It was we lost we had gotten like a week of progress and I forgot to back it up.
Yeah, but didn't we lose that one then?
I think with an
because we restarted a couple times. Yeah, we lost it completely at a certain point, and
yeah, I think we lost it and we gave it up because the backup was always there. It was also just the update was around the corner. But yeah, and then there was Peak, which you really love. Peak. You should talk a bit about Peak. Yeah,
I really like Peak. It feels good to just kind of climb the mountain. Like it's amazing when a game like you can do solo or multiplayer, like each has a different vibe, but is also enjoyable. Like I enjoy the meditative, like just climbing by yourself, partly because it fulfills the desire I have to just like clamber up some rocks, which I don't get to do very much. And before you say like, oh, you can do rock climbing inside, no, I want to climb up real rocks. I want to go up big boulders and look at weird moss and stuff. Like, that's what's actually interesting for me. Or, like, be by the ocean and climbing over big rocks and looking at little crabs. Yeah, but then it's also just so funny with friends. It's just the chaos that ensues is delightful. And I feel like the first time that I, like, really appreciated in-game proximity chat as a feature, just hearing someone, like, Doppler effect fall past you.
That scream, that primordial just oh, sorry, Nala. Is on my lap. I'm sorry, kitty. Now you know what it feels like to be screamed at constantly. Yeah, no, that was like, out of all the things in Peak that brought such joy is the just hearing someone like mid-sentence just shriek and go whoop, just gone. That, and my favorite thing in that game is the like taking a big leap and catching a vine. It's got a nice Spider-Man vibe to it, like just the rush of it.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, very good choice. Well, I do so for those that don't know, these are also uploaded to YouTube, and we're leaning on having little PNG tubers so that we have something up video wise. But hey, we're doing this one with our faces and our cameras, and that means we get to do show and tell if we so choose. And I very much get to choose. I was very excited about this. So, for those that know me, they know that I like a tabletop board game called HeroClix. And there are 2 things that I got this year. One that came out this year, one that came out while ago. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the one that came out this year, they started doing these things called legacy cards, which basically are remakes, like redos of the cards attached to older figures, so that your older figures can be a little more viable, because in the game there's a lot of power creep. The rotation does tend to, in the game design, they keep amping it up, and it's so your older figures,
the meta tends to leave behind old stuff.
Yeah, and their point value to put it on your team becomes a lot. It's just a whole thing. So they started doing that, and this year they came out with a Heralds of Galactus iconic set. I did not shell out the cash for the entire kit, but I very much wanted the legacy card for Galactus, which you can see on camera now. Isn't that neat?
For the audio listeners, this is a card that is significantly bigger than a normal playing card. That's like a greeting card size, and it's entirely holographic.
Yeah, it's holographic. It's a double. It's wide, like like if you flip a HeroClix card or playing card on its side, it's probably about 2.5 times the size going up, and it is a folding card, so it's front back printed. Yeah, holographic, makes it very hard to read, but very cool to display. I'm very excited to have this just with the piece. But the main reason I was so excited about this specifically is that I was really into HeroClix from when I got into it in 2015 all the way through 2019 leading into 2020. In 2020, they finally got the rights to make new Fantastic Four figure sets, characters, all that stuff, which is a thing they did not been able to do since like 2012 or 2011 before I got into the game. So there was this massive hole in my collection of Fantastic Four characters, and obviously one of the biggest Marvel characters is Galactus. They, in addition to doing a full booster set, they did a giant Galactus. This is one of the biggest here. I think it's the biggest HeroClix piece. There's some that are pretty close, but I think this one is both tall and it might not be wider than some of the dragons, but it's huge. It's massive. I actually got to do a little DM back and forth with the designer who did the sculpt, because he accidentally leaked it by accident. He was not supposed to release the behind the scenes images, and he did, and I had reposted them because, hey, I was doing HeroClix content at the time, and he had messaged me like, hey, can you take that down? I wasn't supposed to post that. I was like, yeah, no, it's very cool, like it looks great. It's such a fantastic shelf piece. I've never gotten to play it, and that's primarily is because it's like 700 points to play on your team, and lockdown happened, and so by the time that I did eventually get back into HeroClix, which is what the beginning of this year, very end of last year, he had become kind of obsolete and kind of a pain in the butt to play. And so he has been a shelf piece this entire time. So I'm very excited to officially have a thing that makes him a little more playable. And I look forward to tormenting some very specific people in the near future.
Yeah.
Bob, what is your next thing, which I believe is your number 7?
Yes. I got more into 3D modeling this year, which also ties in with the 3D printing. I'm able to print a couple new things with John's help. And it's just been really cool to be able to make the shapes on the computer, and then the shapes can come into the real world. Because it's gone the other way so much, where I like make little things and then I like draw them, make them digital. So yeah, got to do Hormps, which is very exciting. And very pleased to have designed it without too much thought, and then for it to be stable on its 3 legs is very exciting. Feel like some level of connection to my architect father that I managed to make that work. But yeah, I love learning a new medium, and I love trying new things, so it was very exciting to get into that.
Yeah, it is incredibly impressive how you picked that up. And because what was the first model? Because you did one earlier this year as one of your patron rewards. It was a 3D print, didn't you? A Bitsy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was this year, right?
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure that was
I think
this
so.
year. Yeah.
I think that was March.
Yeah, March or yeah, it was definitely, yeah, it was this year, because it's so good. I think there were a couple adjustments we had to make to get it to print right, but it's so cute. It turned out so good. The paint job so good. it's the correct way, like, to use a 3D printer also, like, is you've designed a thing, and that could be a mechanical part for something, or replacing something, but you have elevated beyond the slop that you see at some of these vendor shows, where it's like, here's this bendy horse trinket, or bendy dragon trinket, or bendy turtle trinket, or whatever. It looks very good. Hormps looks amazing. For those that are wondering, we are still working on we've had issues with our printer, but those are a work in progress. But the sculpt itself is very good. Yeah.
What's your thing? Next thing.
My next thing, my number 6. My number 6, we're sticking with HeroClix because it'd feel insane to not. So, right before I got back into the game, a set had not retired, but was out of production. And it became very hard to get and very hard to justify getting. Earlier this year, I was able to pull a piece in a sealed game that was worth a lot of money, and was able to trade it for this set, which, I don't know where the box is at. I know I still have the box, but I do have the pieces here. It is the Death of Superman iconic set, which is one of my favorite dumb chapters of Superman's history, just because of how wacky it is, right? The whole premise is Superman gets killed by an alien from outer space that is, been awoken from its little prison that it's in. And in the aftermath, there are 4 people that take up the title of a Man of Steel in the reign of Superman. And I've had for years in my collection the older versions of those characters, but I never really got to play them because, again, they were old and kind of useless. The newer ones look amazing and also play very well. I'm very excited to play some more of these at some point. Here, for example, is Cyborg Superman. Love the flowing cape. Love the paint job. The logo being the split black and red. Looks very good. We've got John Henry Irons Steel. This was a very Superman heavy year for me. Probably, yeah, my favorite of the bunch of the reign of Superman specifically. We've got Superboy.
Yeah.
And like original appearance Superboy with his leather jacket, smoking, sunglasses, little bad boy. We have Supergirl, which was also a good addition because I didn't really have a really good modern kind of interpretation of the character in the game. So this was a nice addition. And then there's a couple of others, but the big ticket items are obviously, I love when they do this, Superman and Doomsday. But they have the sculpts designed so that when you place them next to each other, they look like they are punching each other, just like they did in the comic book. It's very good. The sculpts, again, very detailed. And these are the newer scale of HeroClix that they started doing after I'd stopped playing. So everything's a little bit bigger. And I was very adverse to that because I was like, well, most of my collection's a smaller scale. And that's kind of a pain in the butt. But they have, in a lot of cases, taken that scale and put it to good use of making the figures really look good as shelf pieces, which is how I started collecting for the game in the first place. I started collecting for the shelf display versus the actual gameplay. And then I got into the gameplay and that became a big problem.
Yeah.
What about your next one, Bob?
Well, I mean, this is...
Go ahead. No, you're good.
This is something you said you had on your list, and I figure we might as well just roll into the Superman movie.
We can, yeah. Man, you've got my back half of my list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. So good.
It's so good.
God, that's just, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, because you obviously was aware of Superman as a piece of media. I'd never really watched anything. I got to watch My Adventures of Superman. I was like, oh yeah, I like this kid. This kid's good. And he would tell me about different things, and I'd be like, oh yeah, it sounds nice and fun. And it was just really exciting to go see the movie and really enjoy it and care so much about the characters and feel inspired by something, especially by like a superhero that was like just genuinely inspirational and not either a little bit like like he's corny in his like he's corn fed, but
He's not edgy for the sake of edginess.
He's not edgy for the sake of edginess. He is realistic in his approach to things while also being an idealist. And I love him. I love my boy.
Yeah, it was so rough being a Superman fan for so long because, and we're a good time watching. We're the Butch and the Bi. We don't do a lot of terrible, but we try not to. But Zack Snyder Superman, especially in the Justice League and Batman versus Superman, is just such a pale imitation of the most prominent version of the character, right? There's versions of the character that are darker and grittier. There's the Dark Knight Returns version. There's the Red Sun Superman where he lands in Russia instead of, Kansas. So there's versions of that character where he is a little darker and meaner and in some cases pure evil. And that's there. But to have your kind of mainline version of the character be interpreted by someone that their take on it is that the fans and the readers are living in a dreamland if they think their hero should be like this it was really hard to be not hard. There's things that are harder, but I didn't really like. I was a DC fan, but like in very specific ways. And I was never really excited about a lot of those movies for a long time. It wasn't until I think like the Harley Quinn movie that they did that I really got in the Shazam movie. Like those were good. And then obviously James Gunn's Suicide Squad, but the Superman movie that came out this year is just, and it also, we didn't, you mentioned My Adventures with Superman. In addition to that, in the last couple of years, and I think I was on my top 10 list at least a year or two ago, was Superman and Lois in the CW. Again, having a version of the character. He's in a new environment. He's in a new dynamic where he's a father of twin boys. There are differences, but the core of the character is still there. And the core was seen kind of across those three pieces. So the last 2 years has been really eating good as a Superman fan. But yeah, James Gunn did a fantastic job with the character. David Cornsweet was fantastic. That is, I think, out of the last couple of, years that we've been going to the movies, there's only been two we've gotten to see twice in theaters. And that was the Across the Spider-Verse and this. It was just so good. Also, Rachel Brosnahan plays Lois Lane, and I knew from the cast I was more excited about her casting because she's in Marvelous Miss Maisel as Miss Maisel, and we watched that this year. But I was like, yeah, she's gonna kill it as Lois, and she did. She was arguably to me the best part of the movie, and then Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. Again, they did what I think they were trying to do with Jesse Eisenberg's version, which was the crazed millennial billionaire, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk kind of more modern take on that businessman type character. But they did it in a way that the campiness didn't overextend past the menace. And in the same way, the corniness of Clark Kent did not detract from the inspiration. So I'm really excited to see where.
And then also just special shout out to Mr. Terrific.
Yeah, getting the
breakout star of all of that, Eddie Gathegi.
Yeah, he had played Darwin in X-Men First Class, and Darwin is an X-Men a mutant whose whole ability is adapting to not die. So much so that in the comics, he literally adapts to become the personification of death itself in the Marvel universe as to avoid death. And he is not the one, but he's the first character killed in that movie to make the villain look bad and powerful.
Yeah, that was the first time that I, as a person who was raised pretty ignorant of racial tension, saw something. I was like, I think that's racist.
Yeah.
I think that's racist that you've shown me one black character in this movie and he should be immortal. Yeah. And you killed him.
And you spent every scene with him having him explain his abilities just to it was baffling. So for that actor to get some redemption in the comic book movie industry, it's such a great scene where he's doing his T-spheres beating up the. It's so good.
That's so good.
It's
Yeah,
such a good.
he is breakout star of it.
Yeah.
Everyone love him. He's delightful. In general, so many great elements to that movie.
When you had mentioned too, like seeing a superhero movie that actually felt like inspirational, and like the way I always talk about it to people, they're like, Jesus, John, just like, there's superhero movies, get over it. But it's like, I need people to realize that like that's the version of these characters that I grew up with. That level of like hope, and that like level of just doing the right thing sometimes can be enough. And we live in a world where that's not always the case. Sometimes doing the right thing just isn't enough. But it's so important to still have examples, especially for like younger viewers, to have an example of a character, especially like a male character that isn't afraid to show his feelings. It's insane to me that we're still having this. I've talked about this plenty, on the stream and stuff, but like, it's insane that we're still having the problem of like toxic masculinity not being snuffed out in 2025 when cell phones and the internet exist. Like I don't know what to tell you guys. We're not robots. Not supposed to be. And I think that this just, it's such a great use of the character. It sets up a really interesting world. I like that they just dive right into it. This isn't an origin story. And we could have done a whole, had we still been doing the podcast steadily, we would have done like a 2-hour episode on this.
Yeah, we would have talked about it. We have talked about it a lot.
We might, in the future, we might do an episode. It's definitely worth revisiting and doing. But yeah.
Do you want me to just go again since I basically...
No, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to keep the stuff that we'll just keep going in the order we're going in. So my next item is PGH Sticker Fair. This was May of 2025, which it feels like it was way longer than that. But I did it last year with you, the November one. And it was my first time doing a vendor show for me. I'd mentioned it on last year's top 10, but this year's I felt a little better. I was a lot better at the like talking to people and being like explaining what was going on and annoying them in the way that vendors should. And I got a lot more stickers printed. I actually got to interact with more of the artists there. The first year I was kind of just like shy kid at lunch table sitting by himself, even though we were sitting right next to each other, but like we were very separate in that situation. And we had a lovely neighbor that first year though. Or the first one I did. The second time I did it, I got to actually go around and get to know some of the artists a bit better and then see them at other shows this year, which was a pleasant thing to do. It especially because the stream has been art focused for a lot of it. Getting to interact with artists in the community and be reminded that I'm not just living with the only artist in Pittsburgh, and also that like other artists are also not only just like amazing and talented, but also just as kind of in the same boat of like, man, things are weird, things are bad, so yeah, it was a very, very good experience. I did okay in sales, but I also, one of the artists was kind enough to share their printing source with me, and it opened up a world of getting more stickers printed throughout the year. So yeah, no, just really great setup. I hope they do it again soon. I know they just closed, not that location, one of their workshop PGH, but one of their
they closed the Artsy Fartsy, which is a store where they were trying to, it's hard. That one's on Penn in an area where there's just been constant construction, and it's really hurt the businesses in that area who just have not been able to get consistent foot traffic. So yeah, that's
they still have their other location in Shadyside, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Or is it
they have Hill? No, Squirrel Hill. Their main one is on, their workshop is on Penwood, which is in more like Wilkinsburg. And I know that I think they have wherever Trenton Avenue is still like a shop, just a shop. And then they have the other one that's on Penn that they're still going to try and do stuff with the building. They just couldn't maintain the storefront.
Yeah, that's fair. I hope they do another sticker fair soon. They haven't put anything out. They skipped doing one this November.
So
hopefully
that's Annika. That's like one specific person who like organizes them. So she might just be busy.
Yes, sir. Also giving it a break. I think it was also 2 that were kind of back to back pretty close.
Yeah.
That's hard. Like, I like the idea of there being 2 in a year, or like 2 within a span, but spreading them out a bit probably also makes sense too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was really good. Oh, I have some of those stickers. I did grab these so I could pull them up.
Ooh.
Specifically 2 of my favorites from this year, which were a South Park Mysterio and Fairly Odd Parents Mace Windu. Both turned out really, really good, really colorful. The one was from one of the print sites that I was getting stuff from, or were both of these? Both of these were from one of the print stuff. There's other ones that were printed from that other vendor, but yeah. Yeah. I have stickers available on my link tree. Go check them out.
Yeah, go buy his fun stickers. Next on my list is getting more into animation. I was doing more animation this year. I animated a horse. I did this weird little game controller animation where all the buttons turn into bugs and run away and then reappear. And those are both looping animations because I love a looping animation. And then I did a more complicated, longer one for the gifting market, which had its first year event thing. John's mom and her friend organized. It was very successful, so we're hoping.
Yeah, they are doing another one next year.
It is confirmed.
It is confirmed. It'll be the first weekend of December next year. I believe still at the same location, Silent Brook Barn. But yeah, Bob did a. You are underplaying it so much. You did what is like, again, like you literally listed out the animation projects you've done this year, and all of them look great. All of them look fantastic. But this one was professional level. You know, I think it's what, 15 seconds or
yep,
just over. Yeah. So
just 15.
Yeah. 15 seconds. It is a narrative driven piece. It's Santa going to the gifting market to get all his gifts to go off in his sleigh. It's very cute. It was, I think the reference point my mother gave you was it National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, a little intro to that. And you nailed it both in originality and just capturing that vibe. It looks fantastic. People really loved it. You just did a really good job with it. And I'm very proud of you. And I'm really excited to see you dig more into animation this year and hopefully find some more work. So if you are looking for someone to animate a project, it also should be noted, you did that in less than a month. Yeah. Not that that's the timeline that these should be going on in the first place, but the fact that you pulled it off in a month is so incredibly impressive. I am so very proud of you, and you should be very proud of yourself. And people should contract you for more animation work for their small businesses, for their events, just to have something original and unique and kind of cut through the noise that is all of this goddamn AI slop, because it looks so bad compared to something like what you did. And I can't believe there are people that think it looks good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, having it feels like having true sight, honestly, is it's just like I can just look at something and be like, that feels wrong. And people are like, wow. It feels so much like being having true sight cast on you and be like, oh crap, that person's a horrible monster. And it's like, what? No, that's our friend.
Yeah.
That's our friend. You're just like, no, that's not. They're wearing an illusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
it is wild how far that technology has come. And boy, there's so many other useful executions of technology like that. But going for the artist jugular and then having other artists not be as kind of supportive as they maybe were requesting in the past. Looking at some local theater companies and troops being perfectly willing to use AI to promote their shows or to be their entire campaign. So also, big shout out to the gifting market and to my mom for not it again. I was talking to her about this, and she could have very easily either gone the super basic Canva route of here's very generic materials, or just grabbing whatever AI trash exists on the stock sites, and she didn't. And she had an artist there doing character work, like characters or people in the Peanut style. We actually got my cousin and his wife's Christmas card this year. They had heard do them at the show, and they're very cute. And yeah, so there are venues and there are functions in the city still supporting actual artists, and I'm proud of you, and I'm hoping that more people are smart enough to reach out to you to get something really original to them and really charming, because you have such a good aesthetic for it.
Thanks. What's your next thing?
What is my next thing? That is a good question. Well, my next thing is going to be real short. Repo. I mean, we talked more about Peak. That's why I guided you toward Peak. Specifically Repo on my list. I fell in love so hard with this game. This took the spot of Played Up from a couple years ago on this list. Which we just got back into Played Up again, which is really funny. But no, I love Repo so much. It's such a fun indie game. It's a game where you go around with your friends and you're repossessing all of these different objects from these very stereotypical haunted, like there's a haunted museum and a haunted house and a haunted space station or Antarctic station, and there's all these monsters that are chasing you around, and it's horror, but it's also comedy. Like you're these repo bots, or these little like pill-shaped robots running around that can like collapse down into themselves to crouch, and you can make funny noises. And
most character design of all time is just truly so good. They're so expressive for being like little robots who can't like just the hilarity of looking at someone and then just suddenly laughing so loud and their heads just flapping all the way back.
Yeah, they're built like the Canadians from South Park. If people need a visual reference point, it is that hinge on the back and just going
It's so funny. Also,
and the monsters are
monsters.
Yeah, so good. I
genuinely horrifying.
Yeah, I still think the Headman is one of the best like horror video game creatures ever made. Just
amazing.
Oh, the clicking of its teeth, and it chases you around, and it tilts its head to try to get you, and it's such a fun game. It's another one that has proximity chat, so you're like screaming off into the void, is anybody there? And yeah, we've played a bunch of it with our friends, and it's really good fun. It's also nice because it's an indie dev. Semi-Works did Repo, and who did Peak?
Aggro Crab.
Yes,
which is a combination of two.
Yeah, that was supposed to be for them. Peak was like supposed to be like their April Fool's game jam thing, right? Like it was just
then it took off, and so they've been dedicating.
They had to, yeah.
They're like, well, this is going great.
No, it's there are a lot of really great indie games popping up, especially because game prices. The industry's at the industry, and unfortunately, these companies, these publishers aren't raising the prices on these games to pay the devs more. They're just raising prices to fatten out their shareholders,
buy back their own stocks.
So but there's been some really great indie games, and these two were definitely peak indie games this year. Haha.
Yeah.
Oh Bob, since we've already spent enough time talking about the games, what was your number 4?
We're gonna go with you gotta find things that bring you joy. We're going with the Nook, which is my redecoration of a specific corner in our house.
Yes!
So I've had this orange chair since pretty much the entire time that I have lived in Pittsburgh. My ex, uncle had bought it for us. And then when I moved out, it came with me for whatever reason. And so I've just been holding on to it. It's very comfy. It makes John sneeze. So got it out of the main living room also, where it wasn't the living room, was allowing Nala to commit more crimes.
Yeah. It's an adorable chair.
Yeah,
but I'm very happy you have your Nook.
Yes.
It's a good little Nook.
So I moved it upstairs to where in the walk-in closet next to the Christopher Walken closet, there's really nice light in that room. There's something about that window. It's just especially nice. And we have a window in our bedroom adjacent to it, but we keep that dark so we can sleep.
Yeah. Well, also it has great companionship.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a friend in there when you hang out in there. Always, constantly. Just outside the window.
Yeah, a very, very bleached out Michael Myers.
Very, very sun-bleached Michael Myers window sticker that's been in there since our first Halloween here.
Yep, since our first Halloween.
Yeah. I really hope the neighborhood kids are like, oh, that's the house that has Michael Myers in it always. Like, I really hope that's the vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, because our house that we lived in has
It
always
vaguely
had
looks like the
yeah,
Myers
it
house. Yeah.
it looks vaguely like the Myers house, and just in general is kind of worn out, so it looks like it could be a creepy house in general. But yeah, I moved it in there, and then I was like, oh, this is an opportunity for decorating. And so I moved a couple of art pieces in there that fit the vibe and built a little I built specifically a hook thing for hanging up my bolo ties because they had just been all crammed in with my other jewelry and I really wanted them to be on their own display.
Mhm.
And yeah, I
I
took
finally
some
cleared out
time.
stuff that had been sitting in there for.
Yeah, so I made ottoman. This ottoman has had this blanket, which is also very old that I've had forever, just an IKEA throw, but I finally took the time to like pin it so it stays on and can't be easily, because the cats would get in there and move it and I'd have to realign it. But yeah, I've actually made it more of like a cover. And yeah, embracing my sort of like orange deep blue color scheme that has lived along with that chair. And yeah, just made a really nice little space that is separate from my workspace that I've been able to hang out in, and just getting that chance to do some decorating, because I love to design a space. It really brings me a lot of joy to do interior design, and I don't do it very much. So it was fun to get that after having lived in this place for 4 years. So yeah. What's your next thing?
My next thing, my third of the end of our or no, sorry, fourth. This is my fourth. Yeah. Draw or Dies Draw Club, Pittsburgh. Our friend Hazy accidentally introduced this to us. It was the thing they had seen on Facebook events and asked us if we wanted to go, and we're like, sure, why not? And we ended up going multiple times this summer. It's local artist DJ Kaufman, who also handles Gary V's online like art department thing, but it in addition to the sticker fair, because it all kind of lined up around this, it was really great to go and sit down down at the north side for what, 2 or 3 hours or 2 hours on Tuesday nights during the summer. Perfect weather for all the ones we went to. You know, it's evening, so it's cooled off a bit, but it's still, you've got like that golden hour kind of sunlight going on, and everyone's super nice and supportive, and everyone's there just to vibe. And they've got prompts that you can draw, or you can just work on art that you have to work on. You can get, you can talk to other artists and get feedback, and just again, having a new, even if it's not as involved, for me, having a new community is very nice, because I'm not as involved with the comedy community anymore. And so there's been a level of kind of that lacking for me this year. And I think that's been part of I don't normally get the winter blues, but I think not having that for the last couple of months has really been like a bummer for me. I was like, damn, I really like that. It's a really good group. And yeah, you can go follow Draw Club on all of the things. But they do these, I think, starting in like April or May, usually it sounds like, and then going through, I think August is typically the last month they do it for the season. And yeah, just really, it's very good vibes. Everyone's super nice, and I don't know. It's I miss it. I miss doing it. I'm looking forward to doing it again this spring. And yeah, just being around other artists.
Yeah. All right. My number 3 is we got to host our friend's wedding, and it was very sweet. It was just a nice event. Just friends hanging out, taking the time to like do something nice for each other. Yeah, it was just a good reminder of the things in life that you hold on to, like setting up a balloon circle that someone told you was an arch and was not really an arch. And then
I was expecting a full, just go to the Sims 2 buy menu and buy a wedding arch. But no,
no.
It was a balloon arch, which is, I guess, very specifically a giant circle that you then strap the balloons to. Not an arch if it goes in a circle.
Yeah, no, that is a full circle that we hung some material from, and then some lights, and accidentally made a no symbol behind our friends who were getting married.
Who, by the way, were getting officiated by someone dressed as an Elvis gnome, Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm.
What did we land on?
I mean, that's where Millville Juice Fest came
Thank
from.
you. Yep, that's what it was. Yeah, it's
Which, to be clear, is the name of our group chat, because we were trying desperately to figure out what a combination of Elvish Beetlejuice and
Gnome?
they were trying to get the gnome in there. And we were struggling.
Yeah,
And
it was.
someone.
Yeah, it was nice. It was very. It was. We were. I was perplexed the whole time of when we were leading up to it, and I think also we all were like, we need to plan your wedding more than you guys want to plan your wedding, kind of thing. But
Yes.
it turned out very nice. I made some dinner for everyone, and you got to be, what was it? You were one of the witnesses that had to sign.
Yeah,
You and Hainsey were the witnesses.
we were the best twinks.
The best twinks. That's what it was. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah, we had nice weather, which was a blessing. Any Pittsburgh wedding, if you can have nice weather.
Yeah, this was October 10th.
Yes, 10.
Yeah, so it was a very high likelihood that it could have stormed.
Yes, but no, it was good, and it was nice to be able to share that with friends and be part of something special. I've not been invited to a wedding as an adult, other than going with your cousins as like your plus one. Any of the people I know who have gotten married, I've not been invited.
Gotcha.
So
like we did 2 this summer. We did. Yeah, we had a lot of weddings in a period of time. That is more weddings than I'd ever been to before, which is a grand total of 1. Weddings are weird.
They are.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my number 3, it's all media from here on out, because boy, that really has a chokehold on me. Insomniac's Marvel Spider-Man 2 finally came to PC this year, and man, so good. Still one of the best interpretations of the character, and just what I really it is so good in that it's not just a, here is Spider-Man 2, and we had a spin-off called Miles Morales in between that is kind of important. But instead, they really took to heart that, no, we're telling the story about these characters. So it really is this delightful mentor-mentee narrative between Miles and Peter that is a continuation of both games. And like, the gameplay isn't just like, they have very distinct different powers related to which, their thing. And in that you're playing as 2 different Spider-Men, and just narratively the use of some of the villains was really great. The execution of Kraven was really great in it. The way they decided to do Venom in this universe was a far more interesting use of him than in some other situations. And yeah, just a really beautiful like game, like just swinging around this New York City. The Marvel universe, again, we mentioned it earlier with Thunderbolts, is such a specific soft spot in my heart, especially New York, especially when you get into like the oh my god, we'll do honorable mentions before number 1. But yeah, it's so good, and I'm really excited to see where they go with it with the 3rd game. I really hope that a 3rd game isn't the last one in that universe, but it's such in the same vibe as like what we were talking about with Superman. Was handled so well in the story, and I don't want to spoil it for people that like want to play it or watch through it.
Oh, I'm at number 2.
You're number 2. That's what I said.
My number 2. Yep, absolutely. Was and getting to do collab streams with you, or we're both drawing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, it's really fun. I love hanging out with you and drawing things with you, and it was nice to get to do that a couple times this year.
That's part of how we ended up here again, is just doing it and realizing, oh, we have it's one of those things where the collaboration's easy because of how we work. But I also really love making you shine by being.
Mm.
It takes me double the time. The problem is I was trying to keep up with you.
Yeah.
So
I
like,
I
if I had
constantly am
double the
trying to
time,
slow down.
yeah.
I'm always like I'm trying to be like more intentional with what I'm doing. Or like that's why like the Toad had multiple hats, because I was trying to just like take more time. But yeah, and also in general, just watching you continue to grow as an artist through your stream stuff and your off stream stuff has been really nice. Just every year I get more and more proud of you.
Thanks. And that is why I'm only doing one stream a week starting in 2026.
Because pacing yourself is important.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, no. It's also it's nice too, because I know for me, for my trunk stream specifically, a big inspiration for why I even wanted to really dig into that and do that is getting into Drawfee. And getting to do that with other people, especially with, my best creative partner, is, that's so rewarding. And it's one of those things that I wish we could do all the time and have more people to do it with and really get to just play around. I think that's the other thing. It brings back that play that, when we used to do our improv duo, it's kind of that. I wish we need to figure out for our next art collab stream, we need to figure out what can we do that kind of hits that middle ground between improv and play and art and that kind of thing. But yeah.
What's your two?
My number 2 is Superman, which we did a whole diatribe on earlier, so I will make everyone suffer through it again. But I love that movie. And it's so rare that I'm like, hey, Dad, let's go see this movie anymore. And I specifically wanted us to go see this because we had gone to see Man of Steel, and I was not happy with Man of Steel by the end of that movie. But no, it's one of those things where it was just like, I grew up going to see these movies with my dad and him introducing me to these movies and horror movies and all that stuff. So knowing, I had a good inkling of an idea that it was going to be good, right? Like I wasn't overly concerned that like, this is when James Gunn is going to whiff it. It's going to be the Superman movie. Like he did Guardians of the Galaxy. He did the Suicide Squad. He is a talented cookie. It'll work out. So like, I was like, I really want to go see this with him, and my mom came and we all went, and it was a really just beautiful version of the character. And yeah, that's just so good. So good. And such a good use of the legacy of Superman. They keep using the John Williams score interwoven with the new score, and it just shines.
Yeah.
Are you on your number 1 or?
I'm technically on my number 1.
Okay, we should do our honorable mentions then if you have. I know I have a couple that I realized while we were doing this.
Yeah.
So if you have any honorable mentions you want to.
Yeah, I think our number 1's the same thing because you had mentioned it, and
I was gonna say you haven't.
So I've been saving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was saving it because I figured. But anyways, my honorable mentions are mostly music. I got really into Rage Against the Machine in March. That was great, and then just led into a lot of other musical things, but specifically is also sort of a good segue because James Gunn keeps picking music for things that get stuck in my head. So there's a lot of on my playlist of songs that I listen to on repeat. There's both "Oh Lord" by Foxy Shazam and "Punk Rocker" from Superman, which I really love. But also wanted the special shout out to the Instagram ads has repeatedly advertised artists who are really cool to me, specifically some really cool Black artists. So there's Infinity Song, which is a group of siblings who are homeschooled. And they started off with like very religious music, but they've expanded since then and have made some really
I've also seen these guys.
Yeah.
It's like 4 or 5 siblings.
Yeah,
they have a very specific kind of.
Yeah, they have that sibling harmony, which is so cool. I really like the song Comedy, which is basically just being like, my life is such a joke, it would be sad, but you think I'm laughing, I'm crying sad, but I'm crying laughing. It's very dramatic and silly.
Are they the ones that do Rock a Sinking Ship?
Yeah, yeah, the sinking ship. Yes, they that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was really excited. They showed up actually playing at Home Goods, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so proud of them." But they were advertising me.
They hit the Normie.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, good, they're getting some money for their stuff." And then Bodhi, Bodhi, was advertised to me, and her song Juliet is really great. I really like that. And then someone who was advertised to me a long time ago, but then I got found again, Monrovia, specifically his EP from this year, Heavyfoot, which has is really great. Heavyfoot, the song itself is very like, it's a great anti-fascist bop, essentially. And then there's all the other two songs are all on that EP are also very like, I love his music in general, and those ones are just the whole EP is more politically focused, and it really hits. It really hits so good. So those are some of the music people that I've been really enjoying.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I've as we were doing this, I was like, oh right, these things did come out this year. So as far as honorable mentions go, Peacock's Twisted Metal series had its season 2. We've been really enjoying that. That is so good. Additionally, I won't be watching for a while because fuck Paramount, but Ghosts. CBS's Ghosts was I binged through that this fall, and it's a very fun sitcom. It's an adaptation of a UK show similar to how they did The Office here, but there's that. I don't know how this slipped my mind, and honestly, I should have swapped it in as soon as I thought about it with something else. Daredevil Born Again came out.
Yeah.
When I was talking about Spider-Man, I was like, oh, right. They actually committed to the bit. So they had announced, a year or two ago that they were going to be doing a new Daredevil show. And it was going to see the return of Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio. And that's it. That was going to be it. And they had that. And they shot 6 episodes with that just being what we knew about it. We knew that Deborah Ann Woll wasn't coming back. We knew that the guy who plays Foggy, whose name escapes me.
Eldon something.
Yeah. They weren't going to be coming back.
Sorry, I always just think of the time that he wore his cute little French braids on the red carpet.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah.
But yeah, and his name's escaping me, but the guy who plays Bullseye, and when those Netflix shows had ended, I was very bummed about it. I loved that corner of the Marvel Universe. I really loved that version. And for years, I was really hoping they wouldn't. Eventually, they did incorporate. We got Charlie Cox in Spider-Man No Way Home and an Echo. However briefly, we got Vincent D'Onofrio as a major player in the Hawkeye show and in Echo, which Echo was also fantastic too. Was that this year or last year? I can't remember.
No, that
was last year.
Yeah, I think so.
But so they had started to incorporate that. I'm like, man, I really hope. Like, why bring back these actors if you're not?
Charlie Cox also showed up in She-Hulk.
Yes, he did. That was where he had his first full episode.
Yeah,
kind of thing going on. That was very good. She-Hulk was so good. But God, people that are fans of Marvel often make me want to slam my head through a wall. But anyways, so I was like, oh man. Unfortunately, the Writers Guild of America had to go on strike because, again, why would people that are working for a living, why should they be paid? According to executives, there's no reason. So unfortunately / fortunately, they had to, go on strike, especially in the face of AI and just a lot of stuff. But what that did result in was a giant delay in the production of that show. And if there is a silver lining to that strike happening at all, it was that some shows took advantage of it in a big way, and that was one of them, because they then rewrote a bunch of it and reshot some stuff and edited around what they had to make it far more connected to the original Netflix show, so much so that the new season's going to have Kristen Ritter back as Jessica Jones. My little 2015 to 2018 Marvel John Cart is very warmed by that.
Yes, we love our Defenders.
Yeah. So our Blorbos.
Yes.
And then there was another one that popped up in my head. Oh, again, our folks came into town in May. and we got to hang out. Finally got to meet our friend Machete Yeti or Windows Hotline in person, which has been a long time coming. And got to see her. Bunny was in town again, showing up at her door at 5 in the morning, like the serial killer that she is. Got any games? Shows up in person at 5 in the morning and be like, got any games on your iPad?
She's certainly got the right angle for it.
We made them draw too, was the other thing.
Yeah.
It was very fun. But yeah, I think that's I as we've been talking about the things we enjoyed, there were more things that popped up in my head. So I could do 10 more, but those are my honorable mentions.
A reminder that practicing gratitude creates more gratitude.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yay!
Merry Christmas.
But really, like, talking about the things that were good does remind you of the other things that were good. Mm-hmm. Even though we were both like, I don't know what was worthwhile about
like,
this
right
year.
Before we did this recording, you were like, oh man.
I have 3 things.
It's gonna
How
be a weird
do I get
one.
more things?
Yeah. And you did good, because everything you mentioned was good and it sparked joy for either yourself or for others. So congrats on that front. Speaking of Bob,
our number one.
That's a drum roll, everybody.
Yeah. Neither of us are neither of us are drummers, and I'm not much of a musician anymore. But this is the thing about music.
Oh right, we have the same number one. What the?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's Sinner.
It's Sinner's the best movie of the year.
Oh my God, Ryan Coogler's new movie that came out earlier this year. Mm-hmm. It's so goddamn good. It's so good. So this is the movie that made me re-score Thunderbolts from a 5 to a 4.5, because unfortunately Thunderbolts is not as good as Sinners, but also not many movies are.
Yeah, no, it's really and truly beautiful. You need to say what you say about it every time.
Oh, yeah. So it's, to me, that movie is very much like you sat down at a bar and the just most interesting person in the world has come up to you and has started weaving a tale at you that you just get so enthralled in and that you are just so immersed in. That is what that movie is, because it is a beautifully shot film. It is a very morose, just holding up to here is literally not that long ago in our society. So much so that there is an after credit scene that highlights that it really isn't that long ago. It is such a great execution of a surreal story, such a beautiful kind of moment, just culturally, but then also just fantastic horror movie. And a lot of people really tried to call it not a horror movie, but it is firmly a horror movie. Spoilers for Sinners. We won't get too many. We'll probably do an episode on Sinners at some point.
Yeah, we need to rewatch it and talk about it.
But it's vampires. It's this Irish vampire that shows up and it's a very interesting execution of vampire as a mechanic, of really kind of, once he bites you, he has control of you, and him infecting this group of, it's 2 twin brothers played by Michael B. Jordan. Should be noted that he's doing double duty, and there's some insane that's the other thing about this movie. The production of this movie is so goddamn good, but his performance as both the brothers, he's so good. They're back from Chicago and they're going to host what are they called?
They're opening a juke joint.
Juke joint, yeah. And it's getting the community together to put that together and put it on for everyone, and as the first night. And it's such, oh my God, there's so many layers to this movie. But Bob, you go ahead and talk about the scene I think you're going to talk about, because you just mentioned music.
So a big thing about this, which I love, and which, if you ever are aware of the way that I listen to music obsessively, is that music is a type of magic. And that's part of why this vampire is going after these people, going after this lovely Black community, is because they have a powerful music magician in their midst. And we get a lot of talk about different cultures and the history of this type of musician that's able to create stories that are this type of real powerful magic. and we get this amazing scene where he's playing the music, everyone's dancing, and we see through history other times, other people's joining this dance of different people who have made amazing music, being part of this cultural tradition of music as a thing that brings humans together. And it is so beautiful. I was in the theater just crying because it's so amazingly expressed something that is so close to my heart, of the power of music. And I was just like, oh my God, if there was nothing else in the movie, it would be the top movie. And yet there's still so much in the movie that's amazing on top of that.
Yeah.
That it's just like,
it endears you to the characters so much, including the villain. Like, Remick is one of the best movie villains in quite a long while. And there's this, that beautiful musical sequence in the middle of the film where it's just this integration, because it's set in 1932 on the Mississippi Delta, and specifically like in a town on a main street where one side is for the Black community and the other side is for the white community. And there's the really execution of a Chinese family in the film where you see they have a shop on both sides and they're able to kind of cross that boundary, and it just parallels to what Remick is doing. And like, oh, it's so good. We will definitely do an episode on it at some point.
Yes.
It like the production alone of like how they did the double, like for Michael B.
Smoke
Jordan
and Stack.
For Smoke and Stack was having
for Michael B. Jordan and Michael A. Jordan as the internet.
Yeah,
that's what the internet called them. They're like, that was how they expressed it.
But they built this multi-camera rig that would strap on to him so that they could capture kind of every facet of his performance, to then capture the stand-in and then do an excellent execution of using the tools that are being called AI in film to execute something so well, but have it still be so driven by the humans that are performing it and creating it. It's a beautiful film. It's so good. This is going to be, and there are people that have been very, very opposed to this thought of it being kind of a very decade defining film. It is, like, it just is, hands down. It is such an excellent execution of music, film, like cinematography, writing, character development, world building, like historical accuracy, like just
world building. How deeply we want to know about. Oh, I need to look up what tribe it is.
The Choctaw.
Yeah, Choctaw. The Choctaw vampire hunters just show up briefly, and everyone's like, "Give us a movie about them. Give us a movie about the Choctaw vampire."
But you know what? They were smart enough to get the fuck out of there. They're like, you know what? You racist ass white people. Fine, you have him.
Yeah, like they were very much just like, we're gonna, like, you should know, and they're like, whatever, and like, okay, well, we're not gonna try and save them. We're like, I want to know everything about the Choctaw vampire hunters.
It's so good. We absolutely will do an episode in the future. We do have an episode coming out after this one, all about Wake Up Dead Man, which might as well toss that on honorable mentions. Just another great continuation of the Knives Out franchise.
I was at the theater to do tech, and right before the show, it was a night when it was snowing a lot and we weren't sure how many people were going to show up, and then both the shows are very well attended. But right before, I was like headed to the green room, and then I heard some of the people that we know like in the audience talking about Wake Up Dead Man, and I stopped and went back and talked to them for a while because I was so excited. I was like, I need to scream. Also very good. Lots of good movies this year.
Yeah. So our episode on that will be out next week on Tuesday. And we were like, oh, we're going to do this whenever we want when we recorded that Wicked episode. And then our host increased their price between the time that we had stopped doing this and started doing this. So another fun announcement is that we will be having kind of a rotating roster of co-hosts, similar to how I've been handling the stream to talk about movies. So we've got one this week, the same week that we're recording this, that we'll be recording on a very excellent adaptation of a very classic book with a really good friend of ours this is like right up his alley. And yeah, we're excited to kind of have that also be part of this. Is just getting to not only explore media with each other, but also to explore media with our friends and just really just have a good time watching things. So yeah, that's our plan. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, hey, thanks for hanging out. You can find out more information at www.butchandtheby.com. That's A&D, not ampersand, because the internet doesn't like amp. You can find all of our episodes. This is our 7th Christmas episode. And we just had our 130th episode with our Wicked episode. And you can find Bob by visiting www.smallfrogart.com for all of their things they have available for sale. You can find their Patreon link there, all their social media links there. You can also find their contact information if you would like to contract them to do animation, because they did such a good job with it. And I implore any of our listeners that are owners, operators, or proprietors of smaller businesses or events, there are artists that will work with you. There are artists that know what the situation is, and they want you to not have a PR nightmare. But yeah, you can contact them for that. You can find me at Junk Lobster on pretty much everything. I have a commission site up if you want commissions for art. For everything from social media stuff to streaming assets and all that sort of thing. And I think that's it. I think that's pretty much, yeah, that's everything. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Butch.